Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel here. I want to go over Tesla TSLA on the weekly chart and what I'm looking at with our indicators. I'm using the Pivot Pro indicator to aid in the trend, and I'm using the large cap swing strategy as well to set up a strategy to see where those entries should be on those possible dip type of setups. So you can see on Tesla some of the entries that we've had before. Let me go ahead and turn this off for a minute. So I'll turn off the one indicator and you'll see that just the large cap swing trade strategy is on here at this time. And what you'll notice is we have these entries. So long trade here, long trade there, long trade here, long trade here. And you have the exits as well. Close the entry, right? Close the entry here. And what this is showing is of the last 10 trades, 10 out of 10 were 100% accurate. Didn't mean you got 100% on each one of these trades. However, what it means is the consistency is there. It's a very accurate type of strategy. And that's going to be in our weekly time frame. And we don't get a lot of these alerts. So when we get them, and this again is on a weekly time frame, so these are weekly candles, so they're kind of far and few between, right? You're not going to get a lot of these alerts per year. So as we get these alerts, these are going to be very attractive, right? They're basically setting up and letting us know that this is a very valuable area of interest, and we may want to really develop our strategy around that area. So as we get these alerts, what we're doing is we're looking for it to then plot the pivot zone, and then same idea as our Pivot Pro with other strategy and tickers as well, even our low float stocks. As we plot the pivot zone, the idea is to then close above the pivot zone. So the whole idea behind the pivot zone is, yes, this is our area of value. Yes, this is our area to then long or get into the position for a long swing here. But also, more importantly, we want to make sure that we're focused on risk mitigation. And so risk mitigation means that, yes, I'm getting in here, but I have to have a stop loss plan or a contingency plan, right? And that means if it pulls back, where will I stop out? Well, the pivot zone is giving me that clear indication of where do I want to get in versus where do I want to get out. So anywhere in this pivot zone is going to be an area of value to possibly be buying or adding to my position. And anything below the pivot zone is going to be where I'm going to be concerned, right? And that's where I'll be stopping out of my position. So in other words, when we see this, it's got to hold above, right? If I'm going long, I'm looking for swing trades to the high side here. I want to see it above this pivot zone. And if, of course, I'm selling puts or buying puts on this or selling short, then of course I'm looking for it to then be under that pivot zone. So this pivot zone again is going to be a clear indication of where do I get in versus where do I get out, and give me a clear indication of my strategy. So the entry was here on the long. This is where we can add into our position, and we're taking profit as we pop. Now this is going to be where we close out this strategy, and that's why it's 100% accurate, because what it's doing is holding for just a short period of time. Again, these are weekly candles, so we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, so roughly about a month to a month and a half, and you're taking profit on that type of trade. So these aren't real long type of swing trades. However, you could maximize the profit. You could really change some of the settings on here, and you can actually change the exit strategy so you can get more out of your trade, but it may not be as consistently profitable. So if you're looking for a consistent profit, it's going to be just the way we have it set up. So what we're looking at now over to the right hand side is Tesla already gave that setup right here, right? And it gave the long setup. It did give the sell right here, and it was a successful trade, a successful area of value here on this pivot zone, closed above, and then continued to make new highs, right? So we're locking in profit if you're in on the long side. Now at this point, we are retracing a little bit here. We'll see what it does after this, but I'm really not too interested in Tesla until it regains or reclaims, I should say, some of the resistance levels above. So right now it has a lot of resistance. So if I turn on the Pivot Pro, I'll go ahead and turn on this one here. And this is the same as our Pivot Pro. It's using the trend area here as bearish and bullish sentiment. So you can see the trend up here is now a short trend because we are in the red trend. So that's a bearish sentiment. So we're really just kind of wedged here on Tesla, right? On the weekly chart, we're wedged between a pivot zone and a resistance area. So right now it could go both ways. So it's really not something that I want to just throw the kitchen sink at these type of trades just yet, because it's not giving me that clear indication of which direction it's going to go. Now, I will say personally, I am leaning more towards bearish sentiment until, again, we reclaim some of these resistance levels. One of the resistance levels I'm seeing at this time is going to be this 380 level here. So if I draw a line right there, That's going to be our 380 mark. So if we can get above that 380 area, which is the top of this zone, then we can watch for possible continuation, possible breakout strength, and possible long trades. Until then, for me, I'm more on the short side. I'm more short bias. And really, this is not an opinion. This is a strategy. This is not me making an opinion or forming an opinion. It really doesn't matter which way Tesla goes because I'm going to trade it both ways. So if it wants to continue to fade off here, great. I'll sell, I'll buy puts. If it's going to then reclaim the resistance above that 380 level, okay, that's fine. I'll get out of my puts. I'll take the loss and stop out. That's a contingent plan. Move on to then long trades, right? Calls or whatever it may be. So if you're trading commons, it will just be the shares. But if you're trading options, of course, it would be calls. So looking back at the history here, if I zoom out a little bit, you can see that when we got the signal here on the weekly time frame, what happened was not only did it pop up, but it retraced back into that area. And that's what I'm looking for, especially on these wider time frames. Instead of just buying that close above like we typically would with a low float stock, that's more trading momentum. Now, I don't want to rush into a swing trade. And so whenever buying a swing trade, I'm looking for it to pull back into our trend area, buy into the trend area, because then it really helps me form a more solid plan. If I'm buying up here and my stop loss is below the trend, well, that's a hefty loss if all of a sudden it continues to fade off. So instead, what I like to do is be patient. So when we get the signal, great. After we get that signal, I'm watching for the next candles going forward to then retest that trend zone. So as this candle closed above, we came back, pulled back 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, retested that trend zone. This is the area of value. This is where I'd be buying into my position. Again, possibly calls because we're showing a bullish trend here. Now at this point, we got the bearish trend, and this is a trade that I took just the other day, actually. So this is a trade that we did really well on. It was over 300% on the options, and this was it then gave the signal, closed below on these candles here. These two candles then faded below the trend area, showed the bearish sentiment, the short trend, and then pulled back into that area of value. And this was the area I was looking for a possible short trade, and it worked out well for me as I was buying puts. So just looking at the weekly chart, you can see we can really start to build and form an analysis here, really form a strategy and understand, where we want to get in versus where we want to get out. And again, we want to make sure that we're trading with a plan. We're not just out here trading just because. We're making sure that we're sticking to a plan so we can ensure consistent results. So as you see this area here, bullish, now bearish sentiment. Until we reclaim this level, I will continue to think it's going to be bearish. And again, it's more of just trusting the strategy rather than forming an opinion. And I have had some traders ask me recently, what do I think about, Elon Musk and what do I think about, the news surrounding him and the news surrounding President Trump. And to be honest with you guys, the news isn't impacting the way I'm trading. For me, I'm just a chart trader. So it's really, really simple. So if it closes above, okay, great. That's my signal. Pull back into the area. That's my area of value. This is where I'm looking to buy. And then I'm looking to take profit as we pop here. And if you're getting in something like this, of course, this was a massive move. But at this point, now I'm looking for either the long signal on the strategy or I'm looking for a signal on our Pivot Pro. So guys, that's a quick breakdown on the weekly chart only using our two indicators, the Pivot Pro, as well as our large cap swing strategy. If you guys want to get in on this and get access to these indicators and get access to all of my trades in chat and of course in voice Monday through Friday, then you can join at bullishboblive.com. Thanks guys.
Remember, trading isn't about being perfect. It's about being prepared. If you're serious about improving and want to learn directly from our live sessions, visit bullishboblive.com. We're live Monday to Friday, walking through setups, strategies, and everything in between. Thanks again for watching. Stay focused, stay sharp, and keep growing.